This is uncut. Can't get enough. The truth I ain't holding back. This ain't no bluff. You are deserving that. Sometimes it's rough. No, I ain't holding back. Cause this is uncut. This is uncut. This is uncut. No, I ain't holding back. Sometimes it's rough. This is uncut. This is uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no bluff. Can't get enough. The truth I ain't holding back. This ain't no bluff. You are deserving that. Sometimes it's rough. No, I ain't holding back. Cause this is uncut. This is uncut. This is uncut. No, I ain't holding back. Sometimes it's rough. This is uncut. This is uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no This is uncut. Can't get enough. The truth I ain't holding back. This ain't no bluff. You are deserving that. Sometimes it's rough. No, I ain't holding back. Cause this is uncut. This is uncut. This is uncut. No, I ain't holding back. Sometimes it's rough. This is uncut. This is uncut. The truth you deserving that. This ain't no bluff. This is uncut.
Happy Saturday, Turks and Caicos. It's time for the feedback. Happy Saturday, Turks and Caicos, and thank you for joining in for another episode of Uncut. And on this Saturday, we have with us the Honorable Akierra Missick, who is the current MP for Leeward and Long Bay, and she has also formerly served under the ministerial post of youth sports and library services. So thank you so much for joining us, Honorable AK.
Thank you so much, Wilendra, for having me. Good evening to the Uncut audience. It's indeed an honor and privilege to be here. And thank you for taking the time out. I know there's so much activity going on Facebook during this campaign. So thank you for the awesome opportunity to be here with you this evening.
Yes, and of course, here on Uncut, we just like to jump straight into the juice and the meat of the matter. So we are familiar with a lot of your work. Can you just briefly give us an outline of projects that you've already completed during your 3-year tenure? 4-year tenure.
Yeah, so as the Minister of Education and Youth and Library Services, one of the main flagship programs that we did that we successfully were able to complete was the upgrading of many of our campuses. So one of the first projects was the rebuilding of the Oneglinton Primary School in Grand Turk. And we also took the opportunity to create more schooling spaces at high school level by the design and construction of the Long Bay High School. Coupled with that, we were very successful while I was minister in obtaining 14 million euros, which turned out to be about $16 million from the European Union Development Fund, which has allowed the construction of the Long Bay Primary School. Shout out to Leeward and Long Bay, but also gave us an opportunity to create more schooling spaces in early childhood, which resulted in the construction of the Early Childhood Center at the Oneglinton Primary School. A couple of other little projects here and there as the Minister of Education was completing the HJ Auditorium, upgrades to the Iris Stubbs Primary School, which sadly was completely destroyed in the hurricanes Irma and Maria. And so just in terms of infrastructure, I would say as the Minister of Education, I was building. But more importantly too, we focused on human resources and upgrading a lot of our educators, especially Turks and Caicos Islanders, who found education to be the career choice that they wanted, by increasing scholarships and opportunities for them to go away to school and learn the necessary skills and tools to bring back to our schools here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. So that's when I was the Minister of Education. If you give me 1 second, to Leeward and Long Bay, we had the awesome opportunity to construct the Leeward Palms Park. Unfortunately, in the last 4 years, it has not been maintained. And so moving forward, we would seek to ensure that there is a comprehensive maintenance program in place with that facility. Now that we have the Long Bay Primary School, we will look at securing a green space and park area for Long Bay. But more importantly, and one that all constituents and residents continuously speak to me about, roads. We need our roads upgraded, and we need to be better neighbors and take care of our animals and our dogs, because they make it very difficult for us to use the road safe systems in our community to ride our bikes or do our exercise. So there's a lot of work to be done, but Leeward and Long Bay, if they give me another opportunity to be their voice in Parliament and the Progressive National Party at large team, we will get these things done together.
So you said two things that I just want to touch back on. One of the very first ones was the fact that you secured funding for the Long Bay Primary School. Of course, we, the general public, have an idea of how government works, but a lot of times we do forget that when projects are put into the pipeline by a previous administration, at times it's when another administration comes in, it seems as if they completed the work when it was something that was already in progress. So I just want to highlight the fact that yes, the project may have commenced during this current government. However, the funding was secured under the PNP under your care as Minister of Education, correct?
Yes, that is correct. And you are so right. So that program was one that was hard fought, because we were competing with other countries and other overseas territories for this funding. And what we as a Progressive National Party administration had demonstrated was our commitment to education, not only in terms of building infrastructure, but building on the human resource element in education. And because we were able to show that we were educating Turks and Caicos Islanders to be teachers, to be administrators in the various levels in the education ministry and at our campuses, we also showed the European Union Development Fund that we were willing to spend our own money to create more spaces in the Turks and Caicos. And that was where the construction of the Long Bay High School came in. So had we not built that facility, we would not have been in a good place that we were in when we made the bid for the 14 million euros, because it showed that the Turks and Caicos Islands acknowledge the gaps and weaknesses in education. They're putting their own funding, energy, and time into fixing the gaps. And so it made us a better partner to the EDF board, as one that was committed, not paying lip service, but committed to bringing out these changes. And if you visited the Long Bay Primary School, you will see it's a miniature version of the Long Bay High School. So that program, that design, and that first world approach to an infrastructural upgrade in education is replicated at Long Bay Primary, as was introduced at Long Bay High School.
Right. And another thing that you had mentioned was the fact that over the last 4 years, the maintenance of the park in Leeward has gone down the drain. What can we do to prevent this from happening in any constituency? Because oftentimes, if your MP isn't a part of the government, then they have limited or no funding sometimes. Do we have to put a system in place um, where constituencies have a set dollar value that they have no matter whether they form a part of the government or not?
I actually like that idea, and that is something that I would be pushing forward with. So, what I think we need to be focusing on as Turks and Caicos develops and matures in its politics, but also in its governance as we move forward, we need to look at constituency development funds. This would provide a necessary or an allowed amount of funding for projects in constituencies, regardless of whom the member of parliament is and whether or not they're with a political party in opposition or a political party in government. It is
Or
high time,
independent?
or independent, because again, I must applaud the independents that have come forward once again during this election cycle, because not everyone fits neatly into a party box. Some people have bold ideas. Some people have their other ways and approaches that they like to work. I am a party person. I believe in the Progressive National Party. I believe in what we stand for. And I truly believe that the Progressive National Party, with the team that we've assembled, is the best team to marshal us through this pandemic over the next 4 years, but also be creative and innovative in new industries and opportunities for Turks and Caicos Islanders. So one of the ways that we're going to show that we are taking the politics out of the constituency needs is by creating these separate funds to be managed by the constituency. So instead of going to central government for weeding of the grounds, for cutting of bush, for the maintenance of the roads, each constituency can have an allotted fund that follows all of the government rules. That is the important part, because it's taxpayers' money. We follow all of the rules, but we don't have to worry about the Ministry of Infrastructure finding time and resources to conduct minuscule projects that we could be leading on in our communities. And so you will see that with a Progressive National Party administration, this is legislation that I will be championing and bringing to Parliament so that we as constituents and residents in our communities can take control of the upgrade and maintenance in our communities and not wait for an election year to see something happen.
Yes, that's something that is definitely needed because we need to continue to progress as a country instead of having to constantly turn back to repair those things that we've already had up and running. And had they just been simply maintained, it would have been such an easy fix, an easy fix. And I do hope that it does pass cabinet and by extension parliament, because I can't see anybody objecting to it. Like, so I really hope that we're
Yeah.
that we will see that coming into effect very soon. Of course, we all have seen the PNP citizens contract document. Can you clarify a time frame for that document, or whether it is like a normal manifesto that will be done throughout the entire 4 years?
Yeah, so the purpose of the citizens contract, and being an attorney and a lawyer, these are things that are really near and dear to my heart. So that is the Progressive National Party's commitment to the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands over a 4-year period. So you would note throughout the document, we actually introduced our COVID recovery plan and our economy recovery plan, because this pandemic is not going to end next week, and it will definitely not end the day after the election. So one of the priority areas will be on seeing how we can move this economy forward, due to the fact that our main industry is going to continuously limp along for the next few months, dare I say, maybe even a next full year. So it's a 4-year contract of employment between the people of these islands and them employing the PNP to be their next government. What we also have that has not been released publicly because it is just so voluminous is what we are calling the technical governing document. This will be shared with all members of the civil service through their heads of departments once we form the administration, because that then sets the necessary timelines that we envision for the completion of what is contained in the citizens document, in the citizens contract. So with the Bible or the technical document, which will set out the steps that we have for this ministry, that ministry, the deadline for reporting on this, the deadline for commencing that, that will be shared on, well, as soon as the election is finished and the Progressive National Party has formed the administration, because it's not just a catchphrase that we say we come for this work. We are here to work, and we have our contract with the people of these islands, and we have our supporting document that we will share with the entire public service so that everyone is on the same page. They know what we're seeking to achieve as an administration over the next 4 years. And this will be the first time any political party has taken a twofold approach between a contract, aka a manifesto, but actually a supporting document that will leave nobody in the dark as to what and how we seek to achieve what is set out in our citizens contract.
Awesome. And just another question. I know you mentioned the civil service, and of course, nothing can be done without legislation in place. Oftentimes, we as Turks Islanders complain about things, and once we pull out our constitution, our legislations and ordinances, and all of these different legal documents and have a read, exactly what we're asking for is already there in most cases. What do you, and by extension your party, intend to do to ensure the enforcement of these legislations that are already in place for our protection?
So that's part of our technical document, and I'm glad you asked that, because what we need to do is we need to empower the civil servants with the necessary tools to do the jobs that are set out for them to do in terms of enforcement. So with, say, for instance, the Labor Department, I work primarily in employment law. So the Labor Department is a first port of entry for me most days at work. I'm either calling the commissioner or speaking with a labor inspector due to anything that may have happened in an employment remit for a client of mine. And I know how stretched their resources are, but also in speaking with them, when I put on my political P&P hat and I take off the lawyer hat and we get to the nitty gritty, their biggest concern is that they don't feel empowered to enforce parts of the legislation that gives them the power to do so. So coming in our technical document, we are reminding the various departments, the various agencies of their remit, of the power that they have to enforce the laws of this country. Where there are gaps in any departments or systems, we will ensure that they are filled with the necessary human resources, but also tangible resources, whether it's further equipment, whether it's more computers, so that they have the tools to carry out part of their work that relates to enforcement. In terms of the Constitution needs upgrading for the modernization of the Turks and Caicos Islands. I've sat on the Constitution Review Committee on 2 consecutive terms. So one with Dr. Rufus Ewing's term, our administration, and now presently under the current administration. And we are all on the same page. But what we need to do is day one, when the dust settles from the election, we need to take off our yellows and our blues, and we need to sit around the table, plan our way in our independent colors, plan our way to London and get our amendments to the Constitution done to strengthen the ability to govern these islands the way the people of these islands want to be governed, and not the way that technocrats in London or in the FCO feel that we should be governed. We should have a voice in how we want to be governed and moving our country forward. And I am committed to that. I love challenging the status quo. and it is time for Turks and Caicos Islanders to return to the front of the line. And I am here to work and ensure that through legislation, through amendments of our Constitution, that we return to being the first nation in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And as dare I say, like 50 Cent say, or I'll die trying. But that is my the people of these islands.
You literally jumped straight into the next topic I was going to bring up. Yeah, no. I love it. I absolutely love when my guests do that. Constitutional reform. Turks and Caicos Islanders have been privately talking about it. We have been sitting in our small groups and suing about it. What is the correct procedure in order to get that accomplished?
So we have already done the heavy lifting. So during Dr. Rufus Ewing's term, when I served as deputy premier, we had done the first draft of amendments. During this administration, they had tried to make amendments, but they were politely reminded there are two main political parties. So without the opposition support, i.e. the Progressive National Party, we are not going to entertain any recommendations. So they came back to the table, and it resulted in us going around the islands, myself, Honorable Donhue Gardner, for the Progressive National Party side, and for the government side, it was Douglas Parnell and Sean Oswood. We, and also Royal Robinson, a senior member of the PNP and our appointed member, we went to the various communities. We had meetings in Provo, Grand Turk, South Caicos, North Caicos, and Middle Caicos and Salt Key. We have now compiled a document that both political parties actually agree on. So the biggest hurdle was getting the agreement on various amendments. That is now just prior to the pandemic in March last year. Arrangements were made for 6 of us, 3 from the PNP, 3 from the government, to travel to London to present the amendments. Then COVID and her far self come and shut countries straight down. So because of the inability to get around the table, the FCO said, we understand an election is due this year. Mind you, that was 2020 now, but we all the way in 2021, but we ain't gonna say nothing about that. So they said, after the general election, if both parties sign off on this document once again, we will have you around the table. So we're this close. We need to get through February 19th. We need to get the dust settled. We'll give ourselves 3 days, lick our wounds from however the election shapes and forms. But the Progressive National Party is committed to continuing this dialogue and moving these amendments forward. So regardless of what happens February 19th, although I'm putting in a plug, please vote PNP to everyone that's watching, we will still proceed with these proposed amendments and come back with a constitution that the people of these islands said they want to govern them under.
Well, truth be told, Honorable AK, we currently have a problem enforcing the laws that we already have and being able to get by with the things that are already in place. How will we now be able to take on more responsibility?
Because we have to. That's the long and short of it. If we're going to grow as a country, if we're going to grow as a people, if we're going to be first once again in this country, we have to put on our big girl panties and our big girl pants and our big boy pants and get to work. We can't just say, well, we're failing on this end and we're failing on that end, so we shouldn't take on more. Pressure bust pipe, but pressure also make diamonds. And I'm a diamond, and I love pressure, and I love the push that we need. Well, Andra, I ain't going nowhere. This is home. This is it. I ain't American no more. This is all I have. And I have to make Turks and Caicos Islands better. I don't have the babies yet. And I need to start making them real soon because I'm getting up there. I ain't 40 yet. But I need to make Turks and Caicos Islands better for the next generation, for your children, your children's children when that time comes. So I'm committed. I'm committed to plugging the gaps where the enforcement needs to be done. I'm committed to recruiting where we need to recruit in order for our civil service to carry out their mandate effectively and efficiently. And I am committed to a better Turks and Caicos Islands. This is what I have signed up for, and I am not going to stop fighting today nor tomorrow until it is done. This will be my life's work, making the Turks and Caicos Islands a better place for you, for me, and for the generations before us and those that are coming very swiftly behind us.
I just had to laugh when you mentioned the point about diamonds because the two guys who wrote my song, Kelton Blackboard, the two of them know for months I have been telling them pressure breeds diamonds, and they both just flip with it. They just ran and ran with it. So to hear you say that was confirmation for what I already knew. Of course, we see the newspaper article and we see that we are possibly gonna undergo a delay in our elections. How do you feel about this? Relay your thoughts to us.
Well, my thoughts are this. Governor, don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, I'm coming. This AK talking now. This ain't the MP for Leeward and Long Bay. This ain't a candidate in the upcoming election.
So
Bruh,
take Canada.
leave us alone. And let me tell you why. 8,653 people have the amazing gift to vote in the Turks and Caicos Islands. That is tiny, number one. Number two, that is the only thing that distinguishes a Turks and Caicos Islander from everyone else. That gift is so amazing. That gift is so beautiful. That gift is so powerful. If you take that gift away from the people of these islands, we will see the people react to that. And what I want to urge everyone who's listening and understand that 4 years and 3 months is a term and mandate for any administration. If we go beyond March 24th, we are in a constitutional crisis.
Yes.
The House Assembly would need to be recalled in order for this to happen, because you would have had more than 90 days when a parliament last met. In order for governments to operate, there must be checks and balances in a democracy. So the cabinet, which is the present government, they're the executive. The House of Assembly is the legislature. We have to check and balance the work of the executive. So to go beyond what the Constitution has provided the executive in terms of time for them to operate in will put us in a constitutional crisis. But further than that, with the numbers in quarantine at 870 people, that does not mean 870 Turks and Caicos Island registered voters.
Yep.
Our number is much lower than that. And so to disenfranchise 8,330 people for a possible 870 people is throwing the baby and the bathwater out and cannot be tolerated and will not be tolerated. We are living in this pandemic. You go to the supermarket, I go to the supermarket. You go to the bank, I go to the bank. Election day may be the safest place for a Turks and Caicos registered voter to be, because those that are in quarantine and those that may be COVID positive, they are voting in a different time slot. Unlike when we go to the supermarket or the bank, we are just mingled with everyone. So I say to say this, I will not accept a postponement of the election on any other grounds than the fact that we cannot accommodate COVID-19 and quarantine persons to vote. We can accommodate them. The elections office has made that abundantly clear that they're prepared to accommodate all voters, regardless of any medical illness that they have, and to tell the 8,330 other voters that February 19th cannot happen will be stealing the one thing that distinguishes you, me, and all Turks and Caicos Islanders from every other resident in this country. And darling, we need to be first, and we are not allowing our vote to be taken away from us. That is our last gift as being Turks and Caicos Islanders. So I hope this message is very clear to those that might be spying and listening in. And if you are uncomfortable with the veracity and the continence of what I am saying, reach out to me. But I am not changing my mind. I will fight against a postponement as long as it's in my power to fight against it.
Earlier in our conversation, you made the analogy of once you're in House of Assembly, you need to take off your color coat and put on your flag and represent your country. What does it mean to you to be in House of Assembly once again to represent us Turks and Caicos Islanders?
Honestly, I didn't realize the task that I was signing up for at the age of 29 when I ran for the first time. And I'm going to be so honest with you, Willandra, this is the best career choice I have ever had. I have immense success as an attorney. I'm very good at practicing law, and my clients love me. But the ability to stand up in Parliament and debate laws that affect our lives for the positive and or the negative, to be able to go door to door and listen to the concerns of my neighbors in this constituency, to make calls and lobby on their behalf to change things, to get access to things that they need, to cut the red tape. It is so rewarding. It is so heartfelt, and it gets me out of bed every single day on how I can help to make the Turks and Caicos Islands a better place for us to live in, a better place for us to work in, and a better place for us to grow and build wealth and legacy in. I love the job of being a member of parliament. I love the job of being a representative. And I love the fact that I get to use the skills that I've acquired practicing law and being in parliament for the last 8 years to enhance the lives of the people of this country. And let me tell you, there is no better feeling than that. And that's why I'm so excited about the opportunity that the people of Leeward and Long Bay have given me for the last 2 terms. And again, feel certain that they understand who I am, what I'm about, and how I will work for them tirelessly in improving their lives. It is absolutely amazing.
That is awesome to hear. And tell us, of course, we hear often the rhetoric, vote straight down the line. Let's just jump straight into it. What exactly does voting straight down the line mean?
Well, voting straight down the line is definitely a slogan that was coined due to the fact that we have a district candidate now and we have 5 all-island candidates. So voting straight down the line means party loyalty. And as a political party, I am encouraging all voters to vote for our 5 all-island candidates and our district candidates. So it's a neat little catchphrase that was actually coined at my first rally in 2012. Shout out to Blow and the team that came up with all of these slogans for that rally. And the reason why it's important, and I'm gonna be frank and I'm gonna be honest, why it is important for persons to vote straight down the line and not Skittles, because when the vote is split, you end up having a situation like we presently have, where you have a super majority for one party, which is the governing administration, in the 2016 election had a 10-5 victory. Because we had so many independents in there, and this is not me telling someone not to seek a seat as an independent. If you believe that you can contribute to the growth and the betterment of the Turks and Caicos Islands, I am for you. I will never tell you not to do that, because just how you believe it, I believe it as well for me, and that's why I do this. So when we had so many independents in 2016 and what we are now seeing in 2021, the vote gets split and shared. So because we have those 5 options at large, persons vote based on conscience, based on personality of the candidate, based on any experience they may have had with an at-large candidate. So what we have seen is at the district level, people vote traditionally their party line. At the all-island level, because you have 18 options and you get to use 5 out of the 18, people are voting more personality. In order for the goals and plans in our citizens' contract to be achieved, the Progressive National Party needs a mandate in Parliament. In order to get a mandate, you need a minimum of 9 members. So yes, 8 persons being elected from one organization, or a mixture, if we include the independents getting elected, can form government. But in order to be able to operate as a strong government, you need a minimum of 9 members on one side. That then takes away the ability of the governor's appointed members from having to negotiate with political parties on whether or not they support certain pieces of legislation. It's a numbers game at the end of the day. And so that will give a government like the present administration, they don't need any votes from the PNP to pass legislation in Parliament. They don't need any votes from the governor's appointed members to pass legislation in Parliament, because their mandate is so secure. When they had 10 members, now they have 9 members. And even with them having 9, we can see where negotiation needs to take place with appointed members who are neutral, or they're supposed to be neutral, but we see one has left neutrality and gone to a certain side. But their main focus and drive is to be neutral. And if legislation is good, they support it. Where it can be improved, they should advise on how to improve it. And where legislation is poorly drafted and poorly done and not to the betterment of the people of these islands, they should vote against it. And so that's why you're going to keep hearing that vote straight down the line, vote 5 conch shells, because without securing a firm mandate between 9 and 10 elected members from one side, or a combination with independents, then governments do struggle with getting controversial or possibly controversial legislation passed in the chamber. I experienced it. We had 8-7 in 2012, and certain bills were defeated because we just didn't have the numbers when the then opposition and the governor's appointed members joined together. Then they had a greater number than the government.
Well, let's just be honest and frank about the voting process. Our voting process wasn't changed until 2009, after 2009, after our constitution was suspended. And after that is when the British came back in and they gave us this totally new voting system, which when you look at it at face value, it seems awesome because you get to vote for all these many people, you get to pick and choose. But when you truly dissect it and you truly study it, you realize that it was actually created to create an unstable political system within the Turks and Caicos Islands. It would be nearly impossible for one party to have government for an extended period of time, which is needed in order to get a country to the level of prosperity that they desire, especially to get Turks and Caicos to the level of independency. Note, I did not say independence. I said independency that we need in order to take these steps forward and in order to elevate ourselves as a country. Do you have anything to say on that? I'm not trying to really put you on the spot too much, but feel free to chime in.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page. And this all island system actually came out of the British Virgin Islands. And the reason that was done was that most of the members of parliament live in Tortola. And so the whole idea of where the all island approach came from, that was imposed on us through the constitutional change and the suspension, was that because majority of the MPs live and work in Tortola, the other islands didn't feel that they were represented at a national level. So you would have an MP for, say, Virgin Gorda, which is an island about the size of Saul Key, who would live and work in Virgin Gorda, but not likely to form part of a cabinet administration. So the idea was, okay, district MPs are important. You need that one-on-one approach. You need that one-on-one ability to address the needs of constituents in a district. So district MPs definitely needed. But what we now want is a cross section of people to form a government. And so where that system works very well in the British Virgin Islands, it is not working well in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And of course, as a member of the Progressive National Party, I am comfortable saying that, because you can even find that a party can win 6 district seats and just need 2 more to form government, but struggle to pick those up at large. And also, both political parties have lost senior leaders in elections. We lost Dr. Rufus Ewing running at large in 2016. The current government lost their party leader in 2012 when they ran at large. PNP, we lost our deputy leader in 2012. And so the at-large thing fluctuates so much and is so heavily based on personality that it is very difficult to predict a party or an organization winning consecutively, like you said. So yes, as voters, we are happy that we have more choice. But the reality is, are we going to keep ping-ponging for the next 20 years? And I know we touched on the Constitution earlier, but it is the position of both political parties that we return to single district members of parliament, so that I am responsible for Leeward and Long Bay. You are responsible for your constituency. We come together, we run the affairs of the government, and we introduce a stronger, robust local government element to national government to address the localized concerns in each community.
Well, I'll tell you this, Honorable AK, a 30, 45-minute show is not long enough to cover this specific topic right here. Uncut would definitely love to have you back on so that we could discuss that into details a bit more, because I feel as if a lot of our Turks Islanders just take it for face value, and we just love it just because you got so many options. You could eeny, meeny, miny, mo in the box and you go now. But it's something that should be taken seriously. And I feel as if we, the voters, need to understand it better in order to make intelligent voting decisions. It's important for us to vote intelligently, not just to vote. With that being said, please let us know, why should Honorable Akierra Missick, as well as the 5 at large, get our votes?
Well, I'm asking the people of Leeward and Long Bay to support me once again. And I know I keep saying once again, and someone said to me, "You aren't tired of this yet?" And I said, no, I'm not tired of it, because the work is not finished. There's unfinished work in Leeward and Long Bay that started with me in 2012, that took a break for 4 years. And so I'm asking Leeward and Long Bay to give me a final opportunity to address the concerns and needs that they've had since 2012 that we were able to start together. Needs like the resurfacing of our roadways and our communities, especially Long Bay and Leeward Palms. Needs like attacking the situation with feral dogs, but also trying to be better neighbors and ensuring that our dogs are held in our yards. I don't own any pets, so I'm just lobbying to my neighbors. Let us be better neighbors and keep our dogs in our area so they can stop biting me when I'm walking and canvassing for votes. Security and crime are one of the main issues and concerns that we have in our community. We have been blessed. I will be honest, we have been blessed. We've had a low crime rate, and that is due to neighbors looking after each other and reporting whenever we see something that is unusual. But as a government, we need to ensure that there is sufficient lighting, whether it's solar lighting, so that we can have a deterrent to those who may think that our community is a soft touch and want to interfere with it by creating havoc through burglaries and robberies. And coupled with the increase in lighting would be completing the CCTV program and plans throughout the entire community, so that our main roadways, we can have caught on camera to see how people are moving in and out, and whether we need to catch anyone who has done something in the community that is illegal and unlawful, to keep you safe, to keep me safe, to keep all of our neighbors safe. And last but not least, this one hurts me so much. The fact that in 2012 to 2016, I worked and fought and secured the funding, and we were able to start the water access program here in Long Bay. and it just stopped under the present administration, as if we in Long Bay do not pay our fair share in taxes. We have people, I was out canvassing all day today, and on the top of their list is AK, where's the water? You started the water. Why did they stop it? Water is a vital component to life. And so, as their member of parliament, I am only as strong as the government that I'm able to be a part of. So that's why I'm asking for the residents of Leeward and Long Bay to also vote for the 5 All-Island Progressive National Party candidates, because in government, I can make effective decisions, access the right amount of funding to ensure that our community looks, feels, and is secured the way that it should be, with regular maintenance programs and schedules, with road resurfacing, with access to community and city water, and upgrades of our community parks and creation of new parks, so that we can truly be the community that I know Leeward and Long Bay wants to be and deserves to be, because we are the best constituency in the Turks and Caicos Islands, and I make no apology about that.
That was well said. Also, for the fact that once the constituency funds are secured in terms of legislated, that will be a huge assistance with anyone's project within their community. So that's something that we seriously have to take a look at, and as soon as possible. With that being said, guys, I encourage you all, please, February 19th is not far. Fingers crossed, praying to God that that date is not changed, because we are ready to go out and vote. It is not a long time to wait. Do not wait until last minute to say, oh, I thought they were going to change election date. No, keep going. Keep um, looking at your candidates as if elections is tomorrow. Keep examining them, see what qualities you like in them. Listen to their interviews. There are many shows out there that you can listen to. Make sure you have your ride for election day. Don't wait last minute. Call your MP, call your friend, call your daddy, call your brother, call whoever. Get your ride secured. Make sure you have your voter's card as well as one other ID. Make sure you have your mask, your hand sanitizer. Be prepared for the polls. Have your bottle of water if you feel like the wait will be long, an umbrella, whatever it is you need. Make sure you go and prepare, because it is not a situation where you can just leave because the line is too long. You have to wait. It is your right to vote. It is your democratic right to vote, and don't allow anybody to infringe on your democratic rights. With that being said, I hope to see you all out at the polls on February 19th. And thank you so much, Honorable Akierra, for coming on.
Thank you so much, Valandra, and good evening to all of your faithful viewers and watchers. And I look forward to seeing everyone on February 19th. See you soon.
I hope to see everyone show back up on next week Saturday, because we do have Honorable T-Mod Butterfield, who will be on discussing his views, of course, for Grand Turk, and it will be a very interesting conversation. I encourage you to tag as many people as you can and log on so that you can get the information that you need in order to vote informatively. I'll see you guys on, sorry, next Saturday, not next Saturday, it's on Wednesday. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Uncut, and this is your host, Valandra Elliott.